Good afternoon, good evening, students. I hope you are doing good. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're back with another video, another lecture concerning sociolinguistics. As you can see, today's lecture is entitled Language Registers and Styles, in which we're going to tackle the notion of accent, style, register, and jargon. Okay? So in case you haven't watched the previous videos, I advise you to do so. Otherwise, you might be lost. But before I start, as usual, I invite you to like the Facebook page of this channel in order to be notified whenever I post something new. And also, subscribe to my channel if it's not already done. That would encourage me to do more and help you out during the period of exams. With that being said, we shall start with language registers and styles. So, people communicate in several ways. Right? They use several manners, if you want, different manners to convey their message or to transmit their message. And in today's lecture, we are going to focus on those manners or those ways, which means accent, style, register, and jargon. Okay? So what do you mean by accent? An accent is a particular way of speaking. Okay? Which tells the listener something about the speaker's background. To explain this short definition, for instance, if you are an American and you go to Europe and you speak with a foreigner and you use the English language, right? So you start speaking, you're just saying casual things to break the ice, for instance, hello, the weather is fine today or something like that, but using the American accent. So, which means you are going to speak as an American. I will explain that furthermore. The thing is, you start speaking and that foreigner does not know yet that you are an American. But when you start speaking, the foreigner might ask you, how are things in America? And this person does not know that you are an American. So the way or the reason why he thinks you are an American is because of the way you speak. That's the accent. Okay, so if you speak in an American way or a British way, it tells the listener where you come from. And it also gives the listener a general background about yourself. Okay, and we have different kinds of accent. Okay, so the accent can be individual. We come back to the context of our country. If an Arab tries to speak Kabyle, we get an individual accent. This person whose native language is not Kabyle will learn Kabyle and they will speak the language properly, correctly, but they will have a slight accent or a slightly different accent from the native people of Kabyle. Okay? That's what we call individual accent. And then we have what we call the local accent. Okay, same context. For instance, the Kabyle spoken in Béjaïa. Okay, so we have Kabyle in Tizi Ouzou, for instance, but we also have Kabyle in Béjaïa. They are similar in many aspects, but not 100% similar. Okay, so this is the local accent. So if you start speaking Kabyle of Béjaïa in somewhere else, they might identify you that you come from Béjaïa. Okay, or you can also speak the Kabyle spoken in Tizi Ouzou and they might identify you that you are a person who comes from Tizi Ouzou, okay? So that's the whole idea about the local accent. And then we go bigger. It means national accent. So we go out from the context of our country. We go to Canada. Canada also speaks French along with English, of course. So the French spoken in Canada is a national accent, okay? And a person's pronunciation, which means a person's accent, may show a lot of things, including the region or country they come from, like I explained with the American accent. Also, it might tell the listener about the social class they belong to. So this person might belong to the lower middle class, maybe the upper class. So it all depends on the accent used, okay? It also tells the listener whether the speaker is a native speaker of the language or not. So, for instance, if we go to Europe and you will meet with a German and you don't speak German, so then you use English. Then when you start having a conversation, if you want, and then you will notice that this person is speaking English correctly, but with a different accent. And if you can identify the accent, you will notice that it's a German accent, which means a person from Germany who speaks English. Okay, but you shouldn't confuse that. It's not every German speaks English using a German accent. You can also learn different accents. You can learn how to speak using the British accent or the American accent or even the Australian accent, the Canadian accent, different kinds of accent. You can just learn them. So this is as far as accent is concerned. Then we move to style. What do you mean by style? Style, it means the variation in a person's speech or writing, right? The style is not only in writing, but also in speech. Because a lot of students think that style is in writing only. No, it is also related to speech. So basically, it is how an individual chooses to express oneself. Okay. So and people choose to switch from one style to another according to many factors. For instance, the situation or the context. The words you say in funerals to express yourself and the words you use when you're having a party, for instance, are not the same. So you switch from a style to another. And also another factor which is related to the topic being discussed or the topic discussed. You would use, for instance, soft and warm words when you express your affection to or towards somebody, and you will use scientific terms, something when you talk about something technical or maybe a medication. So it depends on the topic. Okay, and to illustrate or to give you some examples, academic examples, if I may say. It's a period of time. There was a period of time in the English history. It is related to the way of speaking or writing at a particular period of time, which is during the 18th century. There was a specific style that we call Shakespeare's style. So there was English. A lot of people spoke English, but Shakespeare had his own style. So that's as far as the notion of style is concerned. Now we move to register. What do you mean by register? Register is basically related to the level of language formality, which means are you formal or informal? And of course, in a piece of writing or speech. Okay? For instance, a professor will use a formal or academic register during a class or a professional lecture. A doctor will use what we call a consultative register while informing patients of treatment options and procedures. And between you, for instance, and your friends or your best friends, you will employ an intimate register when sharing secrets or just talking and having a conversation. Okay, that's what we mean by register. And finally, we will round off with jargon, which is basically the vocabulary and word choice, okay, of a particular group, or if you want subculture, such as if we take, for example, geeks, engineers, mechanics, drug users, cooks, doctors, lawyers. A lot of examples that we can give. So, in other words, jargon refers to the terminology that no one else understands except those sharing the same professional dialect or common interests. For instance, geeks, they have a specific terminology when they try to communicate amongst themselves. So if you're not a geek, so to say, you wouldn't be able to understand or to fully grasp the meaning of their conversation. So that is what we mean by the jargon. Anyways, that would be it for today's lecture. If you have any question, feel free to ask them in the comments below. I'll answer you as soon as I see your message or your messages or your comments. Or you can choose to contact me on my Facebook page. I'll also answer you as soon as I see your message. Otherwise, I tell you, see you in the next video. Peace.